All right, so here we are today to tackle a big issue. Is college worth it? And if so, how do we prevent student debt?
All right, well, I'll start off from the collegeeducation.org. You guys probably already heard this, but for the sake of the video. College grads, not only do they make more money, but more jobs these days require a college degree, and there's a lot of better opportunities that can become of getting a college. Like, you go to college to get rich. Like, you go to, like, a bachelor's degree equals a job, a lot of people think. College grads are more likely to get better paying jobs. They're satisfied with their job. They can interact. You go to college to join maybe a fraternity, join a club. You can do things. You create these relationships. You have an opportunity to explore your career options.
Yeah, and going to college really is more than just getting a degree. You like what Regis said. You join clubs and fraternities. You meet people, and it's like all on like self-improvement, like doing your laundry, stuff like that. And it's just really it's like the transitioning into adulthood, and I think that going to college really like brings that out.
Mm-hmm. You sort of learn to grow up and start to do things for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to tackle everyday problems and obstacles that you'll have to face when you do grow up and go into adulthood.
Yeah, I also found that, according to New York Times, that college is definitely worth it because getting a college degree is about negative $500,000. To find this, he first calculated that the average cost of tuition and fees. Then he subtracted the lifetime gap between the earnings and found that between high school graduates and college graduates, which gets us $500,000. So basically, if you go to college, although you'll be in debt, you'll eventually make around $500,000 more than a high school graduate, which is just on average, because it's an average hourly pay rate for college graduates would be about $32.60. Meanwhile, a non-college graduate would be about $16.50. So it's almost double.
Yeah, big thing is not only are you making more money with a college degree, you have a chance to network with people, do fun things like join a frat, like I said. Like, college is an investment in your future. Then you get to explore your career. You get to take classes that maybe you're interested in. You get to learn more than just learning what you do in high school. It's definitely an opportunity to take like the next step, especially when like you're 18, 19, 20.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're really like a big part of like you're maturing. You're maturing, and if you're in a good school, it's a good place to mature and learn more.
Mm-hmm. Especially going here, like what we were saying before, like we have such a large alumni network that going to college, especially here, helps you get a better job and most likely be more satisfied at that job.
Not only at college, you're also learning interpersonal skills like living on your own, doing your own laundry, all this stuff. It really helps you grow up. So not going there and just getting a job right out of high school, it really takes away the real reason of like, is college worth it?
Big problem with that though is the job market now. It's oversaturated with people with bachelor's degree. You go to any job, everyone has a bachelor's degree. You go to interview, say for like a janitor job, some people there might have bachelor's degree in like science. You know what I mean? Like. Mm-hmm. A lot of degrees are already everyone's getting a degree. It's kind of like oversaturating the whole market. You know what I mean?
I think that's why colleges are getting more expensive too, just for even regular degrees and even just going their regular tuition, is because a lot more people are entering the job market. We've had more people in this plant than we've ever had, and more people want to be going to college because it's sort of like that stigma around it that if you don't go to college, you're not going to get a high-paying job.
Mm-hmm. So
if you do end up going to college, most people want to try to do it, and sometimes it's not really good sound investment for you because either you don't have the money to support it, and then you'll just be kind of stunted in your financial growth later in life if you're not able to pay for college and you have a lot more debts.
Yeah, that's the big issue. But if we lower the price so much that anyone can get a college degree, it kind of defeats it. Like, getting a college degree right now is even kind of like people need to get like a master's or something like that. So just getting a college degree really takes away from it.
Yeah, and like you can still be successful, follow your dreams without a college degree. You know what I mean? Like, famous people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook guy, founder of Oracle, founder of Twitter, the cook show host Rachel Ray. I mean, these people they're very successful. They do what they're doing what they're loving. They made billions. They didn't go to college. Like, they had a dream. You know what I mean? Even think of very weird jobs, kind of like a ski instructor. You don't have to go to college for that. You know what I mean? There's definitely jobs that you want to pursue. You don't need education, but being an entrepreneur, you kind of just have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, you can own a business without going to college. Like, you're just going to college. Like, you're gonna learn more about the business market and what it takes to own a business. But you don't necessarily need a business degree to own your own business or
yes.
What Regis said.
Especially with debt. in 2018, 44 million Americans owed over 1.5 trillion with a T in student debt, and many of those people, actually 44% of them, said that student loans, that said that college wasn't worth it. So the people that do have the debt, they're saying that college just isn't worth it.
Yeah, like Matt said, it's really just the alumni network that a lot of people are going to the school for. I think, like, especially Penn State, we're the #1 alumni network in the country. That's why a lot of people, I believe, are going to the school just for the brand. Like I didn't even graduate here yet, but my sister told her that my brother goes to Penn State, and it helped her get a job when there's really no room left. So even like little things like that, like the big alumni network helps a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of relatives that went here, and like they all have very good jobs. And like if I want to go, you know what I mean? Like if you go to a job interview, you don't really connect with the boss. But if you say, hey, you went to Penn State, like, oh, Penn State, like, yeah, football. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you were in this fraternity. Yeah, like the hub, old man. You know what I mean? Like you could. It's definitely a talking point.
Like a bonus connection.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Because
such
you
a
connect with them, it's something that helps you stand out with like other
Especially Penn State, because you know what I mean. We're interesting. We're very large. You know, like 45,000 people.
yeah.
But then again, it's expensive. I mean, in state, was it
Yeah,
32?
and that's why
33?
most kids don't want to go to colleges because of the price anymore.
I think
It's too
that's like the
much.
big decision some people have to make is that they would choose between either going to a university or a community college or a trade school because they may not have the financial assets to put themselves through college and they don't want to overburden themselves for the rest of their life. So they figure a trade school, they'll learn some valuable skills and they'll be able to use that in certain labor markets and that will help them out. And some of them trade jobs that you'll find, they'll make pretty good money and the same amount of money that somebody who goes to a four-year university could make.
You know, when I was in high school, I did a project on underwater welders, and I remember that they made like almost like over $144,000 a year.
Yeah, they make the most.
Yeah, that's
insane.
underwater welders make like so much money. Like, yeah, that's a trade school job. You know? Like
that's
my
trade school.
brother went to trade school to be an electrician, and he made a ton of money. But now he's in like sales, and he doesn't have a degree. He's getting one, but like he didn't have a degree, and he still has a really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a big issue though is like the average new grad who comes out of college is having around $28,400. That's like an estimate, and then 20% of those borrowers, like after they didn't have their job, couldn't pay back enough, so they'd be behind on payments, and that really hurts you. Like if you wanted to take a loan out on a car or a house, like your credit score is gonna be if you fall behind on your credit score just with college, it really affects you later in life. Like people, like 18-year-olds really don't realize that when they take out a loan, but like it really could impact you later in life.
Yeah, many students. You know, many students take out these loans. They don't graduate. Student debt can create a big crisis. Like a lot of them are unemployed. A lot of grads are unemployed still. Loan and debt can force grads to live with parents. Can delay marriage, financial independence. Like you could still be stuck paying a student loan when you went to college like 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could be paying
It
until
really-
well in your 50s.
It really delays like the adult milestones that there are in life. You know what I mean?
It's not like how it used to be when college was really cheap and like not a lot of people went, and that's because back then a lot of jobs you didn't need a high school or a college education, so people just got jobs straight out of high school. And right now they have like good jobs, but now in order to get those good jobs you do need a college education.
And loans, I mean, Americans owe over $1.3 trillion in loans. More than 7 million borrowers are in default, and millions are behind in their payments. A lot of these people, they just can't pay it back, and that's not only is that affecting them, that's affecting the nation. You know what I mean? That's putting in a crisis. And like you probably know, like the 2008 housing bubble, how it burst. But we could be. A lot of analysts are saying, especially from the Rolling Stone, the analysts for them, they were saying that we could be headed toward another. The bubble could burst. We could have another recession, which could destroy. Not only did it in 2008, the taxpayers had to bail out Wall Street, but we might be much worse. We might have to bail out universities. You know what I mean? Like we have to bail out the Ivy Leagues.
Yeah, the big crisis really is coming from interest, I think, because many people don't realize when you take out a loan that you're not just taking out like a $10,000 loan. Like after a couple of years, it could accumulate to $3,000 in interest, so then you're paying $13,000. So I think the big misconception is when people think they take out a loan, they're just $10,000, like, I'll get that money when I get a job and I'll pay it back. But they don't realize that after time, it eventually accumulates and it gets a lot more expensive. Like, the greater the loan you take out, the more interest is on it, and that's just, it gets blown out of proportion.
Right now, the average undergrad interest rate is 3.7%, which is, it's a lot. 3.7%.
It doesn't seem like a lot. That's the thing. Like people just think, oh, it's 3.7%.
Yeah, 3.7. But like when you put that into like when your loan amount is like in the thousands, you know.
Yeah, when you're loaning like $30,000 to go to Penn State.
Because while you might come out of a 4-year college, you might get a job that pays over $100,000. But when you got to pay for college, you got to keep making these monthly payments or yearly payments or whatever it is.
You're paying almost triple, quadruple of what your actual college tuition is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Think about how rich these banks, these corporations that are together giving these loans out are. They make so much money.
Yeah, I found that the average monthly student loan payment for borrowers between the ages 20 and 30 was around $350 a month, which adds up because you're not paying it back that soon. So $350 a month could be like 12 months, and you're not going to pay it back.
Yeah,
for a while.
$350 a month is a lot, especially for paying rent. If you're paying rent in like a city, paying rent, you got to feed yourself. If you have like a wife or something, you know what I mean? Like it's just if you're getting a car payment too. If like you just bought a car out of college, like it's
a lot.
It makes you want to go live with your parents again. They can buy food and stuff.
Yeah, tuition's just gotten so high. Like for public schools, it's increased 213% since the late 80s, and for private schools, it's risen 129%. That's a lot.
We've seen since like the late 80s when they were recording it, they've seen it's gone up all these percent, and even back in nowadays, only 34% of all jobs require the minimum of a high school diploma, where in the 70s it was 72%. So nowadays you kind of need that high school diploma on it, and college tuition's just gone up so much, and a lot of it's probably just due to they know the market, they need the jobs, and it's kind of like they're just playing the game. They know you're going to come there. People are, as long as colleges and jobs are out there, people know as long as you have the money, you'll go there and pay to go to the college, so they can sort of charge whatever they want because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, it says like, I was just reading this article. It said as long as people have money, as long as they can get money, as long as loans are easily available, people will pay to send their kid through college. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, not only there's, especially behind young people, there's unlimited amounts of credit. You know what I mean? You can open lines of credit. You can get the credit score. Keeping it up is hard, but destroying your credit score is so easy. Get a loan, don't repay it.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
Many schools, but like they control tuition. Like a lot of these big schools, they control their own tuition, despite saying that states, are making them raise it. Despite them saying, "Oh, we have to raise tuitions, new times." It's a lot of these schools are setting their own tuitions. You know what I mean? A lot of them big endowments, like Harvard's endowments in the billions, just from alumni giving back.
Yeah, it's really massive. I found a story with a girl who from New York Times named Kelsey Griffiths, who graduated last week from Ohio Northern University. Like no one's even heard of that school, but she has $120,000 in student debt, and her mom co-signed, which means like if your mom co-signs, which means it affects her credit score as well. That's just like a lot. Like when you're an 18-year-old and that's a lot of money, because they told her that she was actually like she'll get a good job, she'll get like a six-figure job like out of college and stuff. But it's such a big decision to make at 18, and now she has to sell her apartment and live with her family in order to save money because now she can't afford to live in that apartment, so it's really tough on her because you're going from living on your own and all this stuff to then having to stay with go live with your mom
and live back with your parents again. Like
you're kind of losing your interpersonal skills.
So I mean, since we already talked about a lot of the research, we can kind of get into like a lot of solutions that we looked at, that I kind of looked at, involve like the government doing something. But I don't think it should be like the government.
Yeah,
really.
I think it should be more of a university issue.
Like you said, the government has enough problems. You know what I mean? The government.
Yeah, like we already have the FAFSA to already help, and I think that's enough. I think
if you want to go to college and you want to get that higher degree and just keep helping your financial future out, I think you should be the one paying towards it. I don't think taxpayers should help you on your way. I think if you want to do it, you should be able to do it for your own self, because that's what you're going to do in your adult life. Nobody's going to be helping you along.
Yeah, I think the people that should be changing the tuition should be the colleges. They shouldn't be as greedy, which is hard to control greed, but colleges shouldn't be greedy and want to take all the money from kids. They should be pressured. The government should be putting pressure on them. Parents should be putting pressure on them. Alumni, philanthropists, businessmen. I mean, I think it should be the school's responsibility to make it as cheap as possible. You know what I mean? They should make it as cheap as they possibly can.
It's kind of hard because while some people don't want to see it that way, colleges are a business, just like restaurants, stores, and everything else. Yeah, they're giving you your educational, but they're in it they're making money. They're not just giving away education for free. They're doing it. You're coming there and you're getting a degree with their name on the paper. So they're making money off that, and that's their foremost thing. And I think they can drive up the price just because of their name. I think other things like sports have a big thing on it. Room and board is driven up a lot just for housing and all, and other tuition fees just keep upping the price of colleges over time.
I think these prices are getting way too expensive. They're up to like $50,000 for out of state. So I think they have to find the perfect mean, because you don't want it to make it too cheap where anyone can go to college. Because then, like, although college, like, a degree is already like pretty low, like we want to find the perfect mean where like it's still valuable, the college degree, but it's not $50,000. Like, we want to find
some are even higher than 50. Like I got into Villanova, and here in Villanova it was like $70,000, like 75, and that was like insane. And you would get way more here with the alumni networks and all than you would ever get at Villanova.
The thing that people also get confused on is with private schools there are $70,000, but they give you, sometimes they give you money, which is like $20,000. They're like, oh, you're getting this so much money, but you don't realize that it's still $50,000. It's still the same price as going to like a public school. Like, it makes it seem like it's so much.
Especially out of state. I mean, I wanted to go to Texas A&M, and it was almost $50,000, like $48,000 if I wanted to go there. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, college should not be like, coming here was it's like 30 something. Right, like 33 we have to pay. That's a lot of money. Like, a year to go here.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a brand new car. Basically, every year.
That's buying a brand new car every year. That's a down payment on a house, maybe. You know what I mean? Like,
that's like $120,000. You're paying it. You could put it down.
Yeah,
you get an apartment easily. Like,
yeah, like it's just ridiculous. And I mean, even if you do make college tuition free, that you get everyone will go to college then. So you know what I mean?
What's the point of getting a degree then at that point?
So yeah, you definitely have to find a solution that it just.
And then plus that kind of like if college was free, like, well, private schools wouldn't be free, but like all like state schools would be free then that kind of would take away from like the what's it called, the
value.
Yeah, like the value or like the exclusiveness of the school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that kind of takes away from it. Like, they would have to like up their requirements a ton then, just because I think everybody would want to go to like the same state schools probably.
Also, if you get that degree, then if like everyone can go there, then that means just like another piece. Like, then you're gonna have to. Everyone's gonna try to get a master's. It's just like it started with just high school. Like, everyone's getting a high school degree, and then it's college. And now if everyone can go get a degree from college, if they say less valuable, and then everyone's gonna try to get a master's
and doctorate. You know what I mean?
It just keeps going.
It's a lot like what we were talking about the other day about like if we made frats free. You didn't have to pay to be in a frat. It takes away the exclusion. Yeah, everybody would do it then.
Everyone would be in a frat. You know what I mean?
Everyone could put on the resume.
Yeah, but since it's so like exclusive, that like it's kind of the point of college. You know what I mean? That's why the Ivies are so like sought after. Like, oh, you went to Harvard. You know what I mean? Like, if some kid goes to Harvard and some kid goes to community college, you're gonna be like, oh, Harvard, man, that's awesome.
You're on that. Like,
you're cool.
They could have like a 2.0 at Harvard and then a 4.0 at a community college, and I bet you the person would still pick the Harvard. So because like it's Harvard.
Just because it's the name brand.
It's the brand.
Harvard.
Yeah, I have a friend that's playing football at Columbia, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going for C's and D's. Like, as long as you get the degree from Columbia, like.
Yeah, Columbia. I mean, dude, Columbia's like,
So.
As long as you pass your class, if you go to like Harvard Business School, Harvard Law. If you get into Harvard Law, that's like
you can find any jobs in New York that you want.
You're the lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, shit. I mean, I definitely think free tuition is not a good solution. You know what I mean? Like, you know how Bernie Sanders wanted, everyone gets free. I don't think it's a good solution.
That's definitely
because it puts too much of the responsibility on taxpayers and just Americans. Like, some people choose not to go to college just because they don't have the money to do it, and then they see that, oh, I got to pay for somebody else to go to college now when I can't even like feed my own family. So they don't really see how that works out.
Free tuition is like it's good for society, but it just doesn't really work because who pays? Like, it comes down to who pays for the college? How do you pay the teachers?
And that just comes back to, like, it gets really big. The degree's not really worth it anymore. Like, if everyone's going to college,
it's not worth it,
They need the reform student aid.
Definitely, yeah. Student aid's
like we were talking about it earlier, like with the middle class, like the middle class probably gets hurt the most with like from college debt, because like middle class doesn't get like any help, and it's not like the middle class makes enough to where like college is just like, here you go, you know what I mean? That's not like, because like you see like a bunch of these kids like outside, I see kids driving around Porsches every day, and like they could probably just like hand the tuition and just be like, all right, there you go.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to worry about it. Well, you know, for the middle class kids, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in the lower class, then you're getting huge aid. You're getting huge aid.
Lower class.
Like I was saying,
huge massive aids. A lot of them just come here for free.
Yeah, like if you're in the lower class, then you could get some subsidized loans also, which are loans that are taken out of the government and they help pay the interest back. Meanwhile, if we're in the middle class, you're taking out unsubsidized loans that are taken out, but the government doesn't pay back the interest, so you're just paying even more money, which is just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with FAFSA too. FAFSA, like, it takes none or gives nothing really to the middle class.
I think definitely the way you go about solving this problem is it's not through the government, it's through the college. You have,
it's through college.
Like we talked about before, you have alumni, you have, philanthropists, you have different people pressuring the school to drop the tuition rate, and maybe Penn State has tons of donors. You know what I mean? People donate. Maybe instead of, this sounds awful. Instead of just building a brand new football stadium, maybe lower tuition, freeze the tuition rate for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? They definitely got to do something, because maybe the philanthropists and donors, they say, if you don't lower tuition, I'm going to stop donating. You know what I mean? There has to be pressure, maybe not with just the government, but from the alumni, from parents, people to try to force the schools to lower tuition.
Yeah, they should probably take more of an active role helping out the up-and-coming students so they can succeed in their futures like they did.
Another thing is, this is more on the loan side, but I think you need to cap the monthly payments on loans. You know what I mean? Some people have to pay $200. I think it shouldn't be above a certain number. You know what I mean? Like per month, it's broken up per month after you graduate. There should be a cap on how much you can pay per month.
I think it's just hard because a lot of people, they just do it with their individual banks, and it's kind of hard to regulate every one of them at the same time. Because every college has different standards of what they're going to sort of charge for their tuitions and all, and then you have to work it out with the banks and all.
And they should do a minimum, like how much, like that's the least amount of money you have to pay per thing. But because like if you're paying all this thing, then like if you're making a lot of money out of college, you should like be able to pay more. Like if you're making enough money, you should be able to pay your loan back faster. Yeah. But definitely there should be there's got to be just like a minimum.
Yeah. Another thing is since Congress sets the rates a lot of the times for like what the minimum rate or the maximum rate can be for like undergrad, I think Congress should pass definitely a legislation where the rate has to be below this. You know what I mean? The interest rate. You like companies, they cannot charge over a certain number, because 3.7% is a lot for interest rate for the next 4 years. I mean, you know what I mean?
Especially just coming out of college.
Yeah.
And paying for
that's a lot. I think it should definitely be lower. Maybe 2%, 1%. It shouldn't be that much. Companies can still make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you previously said something about your valedictorian where they go to school.
Yeah, your it doesn't especially in high school, if you're valedictorian, even if college, it doesn't really matter. You still have the same degree. Like if you go to Penn State, Maine, you go to Penn State, Altoona, it still says Penn State.
That's
you know what I mean? So it's really not the value of that degree. It still says Penn State.
Yeah.
And in high school, my valedictorian at least, he's going to a school that's you know what I mean? He's going to a school that was cheap for him to go to. You know what I mean? He's not like he's going to Harvard or anything. I don't know about you guys, but it just shows that it doesn't really matter what you do in high school. It doesn't really matter what you do in college. It's more about the connections and
a lot of it is who you know.
Who you know.
That's what I think it is. It's a lot of, you're paying for sort of the name on the diploma and all that. Because most of the colleges will teach you the same skills, whatever job you need, communication, technology, or just other knowledge areas. I think you're just paying for the name. So when you go to the employer after you've gone out of college to get these jobs to pay off your debt, the employer just sees the name of the college you went to, and they already have their own notions of what that school would be. So you're sort of paying to kind of look good in their eyes.
Yeah, like we just said, more than half the people are unsatisfied with their college degree, It's really, you're just going for the alumni network. You're going for when you graduate, that name on your diploma.
Yeah, then you go. You go into your job, and the guy, they're your boss. You don't know the guy, but he went to Penn State. It's like, oh, he went to Penn State. Yeah, awesome. You know, Saquon Barkley, Trace McSorley, football. Yeah. Like, you know the person. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of brings a connection.
Mm-hmm.
But it still goes back to, like, is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Are these loans that you're taking out? It's really not worth it. I mean, you're paying so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we can move on to, like, solutions now.
Yeah, the criteria for solutions.
And what are your solutions? I personally don't agree with this one, but I found it off of U.S. News, was cutting the athletic programs. And I think that's like, the athletic programs is what makes the university probably the most money. There's tuition, but then, like, how much money they bring in, especially here at Penn State at the football games and even, like, the hockey games, or even the wrestling matches. It's just, I don't think you can't cut athletic programs. Because that brings in, that takes away from culture, too, at schools.
Not only culture, but these kids are trying to, like, you know what I mean? They're trying to be, like, go to the NFL.
Yeah.
If you take away college athletics, you ruin the NBA. That's literally destroying the NBA, the MLB, the NFL.
Because so many kids go right from college, first or second year, and they go right into the NBA.
You can't take away the sports because that's part of the reason people even come here. They
that's it. That is a huge
big factor.
That's part of the whole college experience. It's just getting to go to
There's
sports
other ways.
games.
There's other ways.
Yeah, like, to me, when I was making my decision to which school I wanted to go to, like, I put more, like, of course academics matters, but no, like, you gotta keep an account, like, are you gonna like it there? Like, do you like the culture there? Like, when I went and toured Wake Forest, like, beautiful campus and that, but, like, there's no culture there. Like, no one, it's not community. 108
people?
No, they don't. They give out their tickets for free. I'm like, well, they better if it's a 70,000 per year school.
The reason I wanted to come here is I went to the Whiteout game. 110,000 people.
Oh yeah, it's
Saquon Barkley, second play of the game.
It's an experience, and I think that's why a lot of people go to college, is for that experience. And I know I came to college to have the experience, but also to get an education.
Yeah, they can't cut college athletics.
But while I'm getting an education, I want to meet people, and I want to have fun. And
I think that's, like, the whole thing, just the whole college
experience.
Part of something bigger. Learning how to adapt to, like, the new world and all. And going to, like, sports games, just meet new people, like you were saying, clubs and all that. It's just kind of, like, more acclimating you to what you'll have to experiences when you go out into the real world, get a job and all.
Yeah, you can't cut athletics.
Some other solutions, though, is, like, you could, we talked about capping monthly payments. You could reward schools. The government can reward schools by making, like, tuition more affordable. I mean, if you fail to pay a loan, you can honestly ruin your life. Maybe you should, like, if you fail to pay out your loans, you can ruin your life, basically. You live with
because
your
it ruins your credit.
So there definitely has to be a way to. You can get alumni to not donate unless something has changed. You threaten to stop donations. The universities need to be pressured. Checks and balances, like the government. You need to have checks and balances, I think, in this. The government, the schools, public and private, shouldn't just be allowed to do whatever they want when it comes to this. And this is actually coming from a former Maryland Governor, Martin O'Malley. This was in the Washington Post. And he said his solution was not only to cap the monthly payments, but he kind of compared it to the 2008 recession. If we're able to bail out big banks, we should be able to refinance college loans. Congress should be able to change the rates. They should be able to refinance. So you shouldn't be paying. You know what I mean? So say you come out and your interest rate's 3.7. Say you have a good job, your interest rate should go down to a lot less. You know what I mean? So
because the bank knows you'll be able to make them.
Yeah, if you come out with a business degree in 4 years, you work at, say, a big bank, you make $250,000, $250,000 a year. You shouldn't be paying 3.7% on your interest rate, because the bank should be able, you should be able to refinance. The bank should be able to say, hey, he's going to be able to pay his loan back. Let's drop the interest rate.
Yeah, I think everyone should be allowed to. Because like a lot of people are already able to receive interest-free student loan options, so I think if we allow a lot of people to, if we allow everyone to gain like interest-free student loan options, they're still making their money back. So I think they're still getting, like, they're taking out the loan $10,000, they're paying back $10,000. I think that should be fine. The government doesn't need to be making this money when we're just taking out $10,000, we're paying them back $10,000. I think that's what should be.
It's just gonna be hard because banks, they don't really care what your own personal sort of experiences are. They're just in it to make money. And if they can jack up their their rates, they're going to do it because they'll make more money for themselves.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite solutions, I think, has to be, this is a good one, is you have lower tuition for certain degrees, you know what I mean? So teaching, for example, everyone knows it's a low-paying job, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like the greatest job. You're not making $1 million a year, you know what I mean? Maybe a teaching degree has lower tuition than, say, maybe a business degree, but maybe a law degree has lower tuition, so you know what I mean?
So tuition is different based off of major.
So like,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
so social workers, like a social working major, like nurses, they should have a lower tuition than, say, like computer programming, mechanical engineering, nuclear engineering. You know what I mean? Because
those are competitive fields.
Yeah, those are competitive fields, and you're making a lot of money. I definitely think that's, not only is it fair, but I mean, it gives. That's actually, I was reading a lot of stories, and teachers are the ones that get screwed over a lot. You know, they go get a teaching degree, and that's a lot of education.
And they got to stay in school a lot longer. Than
Sometimes you go for 6 or 8 years.
If you're taking out $100,000, you're only making like $30,000 like an elementary teacher.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
It's not fair, and the job that you're doing is like, it's a job that's very like, it's like rewarding. You know what I mean? You're teaching the next generation of kids.
I mean, they're always going to need teachers.
You always need teachers. Yeah. Like, it's a very rewarding job. The government has to have them. I mean, teachers are like, you know what I mean? Like, teachers are like your inspiration when you're a kid. You know what I mean? Like, it should definitely be different for majors like that. Social work.
Yeah, because we talked about that in class. Like, social work, like, extremely important for some people. They need that extra support, but they'll never make the money that they had to pay to go to college. It's incredibly hard. And that's why we see these problems with debt just keep snowballing, because they're not able to make payments, and it kind of just messes up their life afterwards once they miss payments, and then they can't buy the things they want
or need.
I have a solution. I think one solution could be we should have paying jobs to inform every student before they take out a loan. So they should have like a meeting or something to meet with like each person, talk about how much money they need to take out to actually get this degree, and then talk about like the major and the job they expect to get after college, and like try to predict with them like how much their salary is going to be after college, and like how long it's going to actually take them. Because if it's like they say you're not paying this off till you're 60 with the job and the major you're going out, like either they change majors or something, or they don't do the thing. Like they'll help way out if they think it's personally worth it to get to take out the loan.
Every school should like take it upon themselves to really inform the students that like, if you choose this major and you choose this job, like this is how much you need to take out based on like your parents' financial status.
It's going to take you to probably pay
based on like the average salary or something like that. Definitely.
It might be harder though, because you have so many kids that changed their major. Like like they said like what the average is like 3 major changes probably.
2 or 3. Yeah.
So that'd be harder to predict, but yeah, every student should definitely be like informed about like what it's gonna take to pay back the loans and stuff like that.
Now, do you see that as more on the responsibility of parents and the students, or more on the college?
The college, definitely. You know what I mean? Because the college should be like happy enough that you're choosing their school and that you're deciding to put their money in like your kid in the school. The school should definitely have.
It's like sort of what we saw during like orientations, like all of the times we went on tours. Like you're not just another number to the school. You actually mean something, because if they help you, benefit you while you're in school, you can help contribute more, not just to the school when you're done through alumni, but just to the overall community and society when you're done your college years.
Yeah. I read an article on like a really, really conservative website, and it's called The Conservative Approach, and like I think it's definitely awful, but it's very like business oriented. It's what you do is you raise the interest rates a lot, and you make it like you make people not want to go to college, so that only the people that are rich enough to go to college, or only people that really want to take out the loans, want to go to college. So that it kind of makes it so college is just way more exclusive.
Yeah, it does make the degree more valuable.
It makes, and that's the thing.
Makes
the degree more valuable.
But then, can you take out loans? Do you think on that or no?
Yeah. So the idea behind it is that schools, like, so the idea is like, what they're looking at is like, you know, at the moment schools aren't giving their money's worth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about this school, but you know, at certain schools you're paying all this money. You might not be getting a degree that's worth your money. So students are left in a lot of debt. But in education, the education that can't repay the debt. You know what I mean? You go to your local, for my example, like Slippery Rock. Ever heard of it? Like Slippery Rock is like a local school. You pay all this money, and the degree isn't worth it.
Yeah.
But if you give students a really good degree, like a worthwhile degree, they'll be able to pay it back in no time. So that's what the motivation behind it is. So that you give students a good degree and you charge them a lot for it, but it's worth it because they're able to pay it back in no time.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very conservative approach. Like, you know, it's not about like
Yeah, kind of like it's like kind of relating to that, but another solution is like to encourage more students to enroll in like community colleges, but that also like sort of takes away from the value of like degrees, and like I just personally think that people just don't want to go to community college because people want to leave home and go out on their own, and I think that by promoting community colleges, like it'll definitely like help. Like reduce costs if people go to community college, but I just don't think people would want to.
Yeah, I think it's just like a stigma around it. Sort of like if you go to a community college or you go to like
you're not getting a good job.
Yeah,
you know?
they sort of see it as if you go to community college, it's more like trade jobs and you're not going to be getting like the high paying jobs. Let's just say if you went to I don't know, Princeton or something that's like borderline Ivy and all.
Even though it's the same degree,
right? It's the same degree.
It's just a different label.
It's like sort of the name on the paper.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
I found something interesting. My community college near my home in Jersey, they have where you go to community college for 2 years, and if you get a 3.6 GPA, so it kind of motivates the kids, then you get to go to Rutgers for your next 2 years there for free. So basically, you're paying 2 years community college to get because when you graduate from Rutgers, it just says graduate from Rutgers. It doesn't say you went there for 2 years, and you went to community college for 2 years. So that really, I think that's kind of interesting because like it'll motivate kids. Like if you can't actually afford to go to like a big name school, if you go to community college for 2 years, work your butt off, and get a 3.6 or something like that, then you can go to Rutgers for free your next 2 years, tuition free.
Rutgers is like a big name school kind of. I mean, Rutgers is like they play Penn State. I mean, they're a good school.
Yeah.
That's where Ray Rice went.
Jerry Rice, yeah.
Jerry Rice and Ray Rice. Ray Rice, yeah. It's a good school. It's in a really bad part of town though.
And it's really
a lot of Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's really
outside New Jersey. Yeah.
Maybe Penn State should do that with the satellite campuses. Like, you can maintain like the grade point average. You go University Park, but that would definitely
go for like 10,000.
Yeah, go for a lot cheaper.
Or just really cheap.
Kids. And it'll probably draw kids in to try to go to those like small.
Maybe that's a good solution. Is the higher GPA you have, the more money you get off. You know, say you hit a 4.0 in college, that takes away $5,000 a year tuition. So say in college, if you finish your sophomore year with a 4.0 or a 3.9, because I think you can't go over about 4.0 in college. So it's like not like in high school, you get like a 4.3. So say you get a 3.9 in college, they take away $3,000 of your tuition. Just little. I mean, that
so it's like incentives. If you
give
go
incentive
in college,
to
you don't just slack off for your degree.
You get a lot of kids more work harder to make the
I just don't think there's like one solution for this. You know what I mean? Like
there's
like
so
the solution we
many
just talked about. You can do that, but there's so much you can do. And that's what I think. Not only will it take more research, but like there has to be more time and thought put into this because there's definitely a lot of things you can do that like at one time can definitely impact like what your solution will be.
And I think the solutions they got to be like based around because like everyone that's coming in, they have different economic backgrounds and social backgrounds, so just paying for their degrees, it's going to be different than everybody else. There's no really one way to solve the solution because everyone's not coming in with the same exact sort of standards.
Yeah. Another solution that I saw was you can have free or very low gen ed. So like, say you go to college for your first 2 years, like you're undecided and you take gen eds. Maybe your general education classes, like your math, your English, maybe they're really really cheap. You know what I mean? So you make gen ed classes really really cheap. But then when you start to get into your major, you're starting to get like some more specialized class. Say like
charge like per your class.
So like then those more expensive classes, like those more specialized classes get more expensive. So you're charging for your major. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you're one of 400 kids in a lecture in one of your gen ed classes, but then senior year and when you're in like your major and stuff, you're one of like 20 kids. So like you should be definitely paying a lot more money for that than just being one. Because like it's a lot easier to talk to your teacher.
Yeah.
And
it's something you're interested in. Like so like you're paying the same amount of class like for I'll use like supply chain management, like the senior year supply chain management class you're supposed to take. Like it's like a very specialized class. You're learning about specialized things with a few people. You do like specialized projects, really preparing you for the workforce. Compare that to like English 15 that we're already sitting in a room with 500 kids taking it. You're paying the same amount for that class. Like, is it really?
And those guys all have like the similar interests as you. So
it's not worth it. So I think definitely making gen ed classes cheaper. You make gen ed classes a lot cheaper for students to go.
Because while they might be useful, those aren't providing the same skills that, like you said, supply chain management. If you're going into the business world, that class will really help you.
Yeah,
that's what you know. Or like English it'll be important to like know basic English and writing sentences and patterns.
But like
it's not going to be as important as
what you're going for. So that's definitely a good
ones.
You know what I mean? And you compare that with the solution of getting good grades, you get money off. You know, all these things the school could do to get money off, and that incentivizes students to not only like not only to get good grades, but to really push their education so they can take those classes. You know what I mean? Not only can you do that, you could refinance college loans. You can go about it two ways. You can change the college loan system, or you can change it from like the university perspective, like to tuition. And I think a combination of both is definitely a solution that should be looked at.
Yeah.
You guys have anything else?
I have a couple things. Like I have a bunch of like little things like reducing like textbook costs, like just little things like that. Like textbooks are like really ridiculous.
And some classes you don't even need them, and you still have to buy them. They don't even
That's where
reference them too much.
Yeah.
We're paying so much money. Maybe the school should be funding us textbooks.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like $2,000. It probably adds up to like $1,000 a year, maybe $2,000 a year. It's just like they should. We're paying so much to go to school anyway.
Yeah.
They should just.
Or maybe just move away from textbooks, because now everything's online. You have computers. I mean, we're just doing this.
Yeah, everybody has their own
computer.
Like I know we didn't use our computers for any of our classes.
Yeah, we haven't used our
Like we use them outside of class, like for research and stuff. But like when we're actually in class, like
Do you watch Netflix more than you do like use your computer for school? You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I use my computer a lot for school.
yeah, but like, you know what I mean? In general, like a lot of
There's
people
like distractions. With
yeah,
it.
there's
there
definitely
are distractions on computers, but I feel like that's all. Like if you wanna pay all your money and
You're gonna work for your degree, so you're
Yeah.
not just wasting your money. With it.
go for it. That's why most college professors don't. They're like, all right, you goof off on your computer
your
while
problem,
I teach. Go
yeah.
for it. That's your problem.
Yeah.
If
That was
you
more
have a
high
bad
school.
grade, don't come crying.
Yeah, that's more of a high school issue where the teachers feared like that. But like if you're paying all this money, like because you weren't paying really much to go to
It
high
was
school.
like
for anything.
public school. I
Yeah.
went to.
So like if you're goofing off, like it's their job to keep you intact. But if you're in a college, you're goofing off. That's on you. Like you're not gonna get a good job.
Yeah, like they're not gonna care.
Yeah, I saw this is a weird solution too, but it's from CNN Money, and it's from a couple of years ago. That's actually from this year, 2018, and it said the best way to solve the solution would be to cancel all student debt. Cancel it. It's all done. So like, say you're like, well, you just cancel it. Like
They just don't have.
I don't really know like the logistics.
Like it just
of
goes away.
It just goes away. Like
I
you
just
don't-
think that would create problems
No,
for
they-
university big time.
They said this is what they said is that completely paying it off the government would have a mild. They said they stressed the word mild effect on inflation and deficit over the next 10 years. They said it would have a medium effect on like inflation of goods, inflation of like tuition.
That'd be cool for us.
And
but I feel
deficit
like
over the next
like
10
people that graduated ahead of us have to
Yeah,
pay all that.
they're
Oh,
kinda
they
getting
will
burned
not.
on.
No, it is. That's just for them. Like
Oh,
people
for
that are
them,
like
too.
30, 40 years old still paying off debt. Everything is expunged. All student
Oh.
loan debt, all debt is just gone.
That's
Where does
crazy.
that go though? Like that?
There's no way that could.
Because then the
happen.
universities.
there's no way. Yeah, there's just no way that could
I
happen.
just don't see. I don't see the value. You know what I mean? Like there's better solutions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of scared for like 20 years, like, because we saw like 20 years before us, like how cheap it was, like, and it's now. I feel like it's only gonna keep on rising. Like,
Yeah,
it's
they gotta be
scary.
doing
So the value of the dollar too changes though.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I mean, the jobs that you could have gotten back in the 70s when college was so much lower, you weren't making the money you're making now
Yeah.
for that same
Yeah.
job, you know.
That's a good point, but it's also like $40,000 more. Like college probably go here is probably.
Oh
Like
yeah,
10,000.
college is going up way
The
faster.
rate-
than
the
the
rate of
market.
yeah.
Getting like the value of
The
money,
value
and
of the
thing,
dollar, yeah.
it's going way up too much. Yeah.
College definitely. It's. I mean, I think. Yeah, back to what I said. Like the solution, it's not just one thing. It has to be a combination of a lot of things, and building that correct combination is definitely a good thing. We can it's like I think definitely. What was one of your favorite? What did you like? Like
I like what Josh said about the GPA and how your performance in college like can determine your
Yeah, the
tuition cost.
performance
I mean that's
perspective.
kind of like in place now when it comes to scholarship money, but I feel like scholarships really only go out to people that like got 1600s on the
Top of the
SAT,
top
top of
class,
the
yeah.
class,
37
top-
on the SAT.
top,
or at the
yeah.
SAT, you know what I mean?
Even if you get like a 3.5, like that might be great for you, and someone else is getting a 4.0, like you should get like $1,000. It's still rewarding. Even like a little money is still somewhat rewarding.
Yeah, like so you performance can determination tuition cost. So like if you're getting a 3.5 it should vary by school. If you're getting a 3.5 at Penn State, maybe you should get $1,000 off your tuition for that year. You know what I mean? If you,
Honestly, more than that.
okay, maybe 2 or 3. It can vary.
3.5's hard. That's
That's a lot of work. That's
And
like-
also maybe
that's a ton
sort of
of
like
work.
the solution with performance and sort of like what you were saying, like Gen Ed classes, the price of classes. Because if you get a 3.5 and you're taking like lower classes, or if you're taking like major specific classes, it's sort of different. It's a 3.5 might be the same, but the level and the intensities of the classes could be different. and just overall what you have to perform to do well in those classes might be a little different.
I thought on one solution that I personally liked was when the school should provide people that inform every student before they take out the loans, like the major, because I know they change majors, but the major you're going into, like what job you're gonna get, and the average salary you're gonna be like, and how long it's actually gonna take you to pay back that price. Because if they realize that's gonna take 40 years to pay back, that might not be the school for them. Like that might be costing too much money. So I think the university should be giving these people to say like how long it's going to take you to pay back, and if this college degree from this university is really worth it.
Yeah, so they should be more informative. They should, and then back to what I was saying about like maybe the school should have cheaper gen ed classes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
School should definitely have gen ed classes that are cheaper. You know, Penn State should make
Maybe even just major specific classes, like those who are going into social work or
that's another good,
teachers.
yeah.
Just have them be lower than, I don't know, if you're going to be a lawyer or work on Wall Street.
But that's the thing. The thing I don't like about that is how do you determine? You know what I mean? Like you can 10 people who graduate with a law degree, one person can make $25,000 a year, the next person can make $1 million a year. You know what I mean? It's very.
It depends on like where you go to work.
It depends where you go to work for. That's the reason I don't like that solution. You know what I mean? You could graduate with a teaching degree.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even go to teach. You might even not even go to become a teacher. You could be like a professor. You might even not even be that. You might go be a leader of a school, like a dean, principal. You can make more money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that's the reason I don't like that solution. It can rip people off. People can cheat the system.
Yeah, because that solution is kind of based on if everyone followed the same mold throughout.
Yeah, and that's because
and we know life isn't like that.
Life is so that's definitely I don't like that. I don't like that solution really. Even though we did suggest it, it's kind of dumb. And then eliminating tuition altogether, kind of dumb.
I just
especially eliminating sports. That was just
you cannot.
Depends on the school, honestly. Though, if you're like in a small school, like
maybe
it depends on
like a small.
I don't know.
So maybe it's like a
like
school by school thing.
Like at Delaware, say like sports. I mean, like it's still valuable to them, but some sports are just like football isn't as valuable.
Yeah.
Like, they say no one's going to those games. Like
there's a school near where I live. It's called Waynesburg, and their stadium is like a high school stadium. So you know your high school stadium how it had like the really really small away side, like the big home side. You know how it was like really small. Their stadium is like a high school stadium. They get like the same attendance that like our Friday night football games get. I mean, say that would be football's big where I'm from, but like, you know what I mean? Like the school. So say if they just cut the football program, no one goes to football. No one goes to the school to play football. You know what I mean? So like they haven't got a win in like I think in 5 seasons they have like 2 wins. So like,
you just can't
just maybe cut that program, but
so maybe look at it by different school approaches. Like certain schools like this, I don't see them cutting the sports because it's just so much of the atmosphere.
No D1 should cut it. You know?
And a lot of schools like don't even have like some sports. Like I know like Penn State's like one of the only like men's volleyball teams. Like they're one of the only schools with like a men's volleyball team, and like it's kind of like that with a couple other schools. And like that probably cuts costs because like what money does like volleyball bring in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how much does it cost to like keep it going?
Yeah, that's true.
Not very much,
but like the point is though you can't cut sports.
I think cutting sports is dumb.
Sports like helps like kids' tuition, like kids on the team. It helps their tuition.
Yeah, so we decided that we can't do one solution, so we have to choose like. Are we gonna choose like?
I mean, we could definitely choose one specific solution,
but I don't think that's gonna work. I think we need multiple intact.
They kind of have to be grouped together to make one big solution. So
so the point is, it's not a national issue; it's a university issue.
Yeah, I think
it needs to be solved between them. They need to find a way to make it like more fair among all the classes.
I definitely think alumni have a big philanthropists, people like say Penn State has a graduate that's like I don't know anyone like this, but like say there's a graduate that made millions of billions of dollars as a CEO of a company. They should go back and they should maybe talk at Penn State, but they should pressure Penn State, say, hey, you know what, I'll give you $15 million, lower. But you can only have this if for the next 10 years your tuition is down $5,000. If your tuition is low.
And Penn State has plenty of them alumni because that's what most of these buildings are named after.
Yeah, they're all mostly
paid back to the campus.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely think the alumni should pressure.
It's definitely there.
There should be pressure. There should be outside pressure. The government, you know what I mean? And the university has to do something. It all starts at the university. They have to take action on this. They have to see this as more than just about making money for themselves. They have to see that as a problem that they need to.
They're helping.
They need to address.
But the other side could look at is these alumni. They paid their way through college and they got the job and they did all themselves. So should they necessarily be forced to be paying back to the school because like they did it on their own?
They're just donating. Just because they like Penn State.
Yeah. Just
You
helping
know,
out the
like
cause.
Harvard endowments, like in the billions. It's just people that love Harvard and they're rich.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think, I mean, it starts with the universities. Universities have to, like we already talked about, maybe some of the things they can do performance. You know what I mean. The better you do, the better you do. Maybe they can make gen ed classes cheaper. You know, you could start in small increments. Maybe in 2 years, Penn State will start. Maybe all gen eds that you have to take are 15% cheaper.
Yeah.
Just something little.
Yeah, start off slow. See what the effects are. Maybe another thing is school should really push informing kids about debt, like you said. You know, they should really push making sure kids understand, like, you're 18 and you literally have $100,000 in your name already, you know, of debt. Like, they really should push that.
They need to be more involved in
Instead of just being like, oh, come here, you might have this much debt, but we're Penn State, yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, instead of just being like, this is how much it's going to cost, like, you know, good luck with that, you know?
Sort of tell them the details of what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
they should be thrown in.
And their parents should be at the meeting too. They should have like a strict meeting and have their parents and everyone there so like they know like what's going down.
Yeah, sit down meeting, like not like kind of like with your advisor, but just, you know what I mean. So you can definitely.
Because like I know in my family, I'm one of the first ones beside my dad to go to college, and like when he went to college, it's a lot different now. So like knowing the details, you have to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Else you have, like you said, these $100,000 loans, and it can kind of mess you up later on if you don't handle it right.
When my parents went to college, they were like, oh, well, back in my day when I was going to college, it was like, you know, all 4 years, $10,000. I know my friend's going to Mississippi State. He's going there for $6,000 a year.
6,000.
He emailed them and he got in-state. I actually made the email for him. He emailed them and he got in-state tuition. They gave him in-state just because they wanted him to come, I guess. I mean, he's not that smart, but
That's still sweet. Yeah, like Florida's really cheap in-state. Like in-state should be a lot cheaper. Like I know in-state in Florida is like 6,000 too,
Yeah,
or something like that.
Like I got
And like
Florida,
in-state for
and I was-
here,
it was crazy.
30.
like how's that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure a Penn State degree looks better than a Florida State degree.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Penn State's Penn State's most expensive out of state school or in-state school in the country.
All right, just to kind of sum up, because we are almost running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
We really want our solution should be based around, you know, performance on GPA. I think that's a big thing. Alumni really pushing to get the pressure of the school. Gen ed classes should be cheaper, and schools should really be pushing informative sessions. They should be really pushing the information that it's cheaper. You know what I mean? That there's cheaper options, and that this is how much it's going to cost your education. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good.